time for bad days or bad moods. Let the good vibes fill up a room. You know everybody feeling the groove. If you're ready, then get up and move.
You're listening to Every Deal is a Dance, part of the Look Legal Pods from the law firm Nolan Hyman. And now, here is your host, attorney Mishawn Nolan.
I'm Mishawn Nolan, and I'm co-founder and co-managing partner of Nolan Hyman, LLP. Before I was a lawyer, I was a dancer, and then I was a choreographer. And so it's not surprising that my law practice reflects dance principles of alignment and flow, especially when I'm working with my clients to monetize their creative ventures. And essentially what it means is aligning your abilities with your goals while at the same time balancing structure and reinvention. I want to make growing businesses less scary and less overwhelming for creators. So everyone I interview in this series is someone who has a story to tell about authenticity, about their reinvention, and their journey as a creative business maker. It is an opportunity to hear stories of alignment and flow in action. Emily Aiken is a brand creative and strategist and founder of At the Story Studio. Emily has mentored TED Fellows, owned a commercial production company, always staying at the forefront of technology and storytelling. If you ever have lunch with her, bring something to take notes with. So I met Emily, it's over 15 years ago, maybe closer to 20. Emily was starting a new business venture and she was looking for a trademark attorney. The trademark attorney that she had been working with retired and became a monk, and we were introduced, and it was, I think, love at first conversation. And Emily has been a mentor of mine ever since. She has taught me almost everything I know about branding and has really encouraged me to lean into authenticity and has changed my view on being authentic in the workplace. When I was first an attorney, I completely hid the fact that I was a dancer. I would not ever let anyone know. I wouldn't give a glimpse of the fact that I was a dancer, because being a female attorney, being a young female attorney, the last image I wanted in people's minds was that of a dancer. But I met Emily when I was a little bit more mature in my career, and she encouraged me and taught me how important it is to be authentic in who you are and how you show up. She's the one who gave me the courage to be able to admit to the world that I actually am a dancer still in my soul, even though I don't practice dance daily, and that it has actually informed who I am as a lawyer and a business person. I'm excited to speak with you today, Emily, about how your superpowers have made you a better business maker. So let's start at the core, at the beginning. When did you know you were a creator?
Gosh, that is such a good question. It actually snuck up on me. I was exposed to the love of other people's expression of creativity when I was super, super young. And I was just always in awe. Like my parents had fourth row orchestra seats to the Current Theater at ACT in San Francisco. When I was 4 or 5, I was in those fourth row orchestra seats. I was there before we ever had a TV. We did theater before we did TV. So I fell in love with the narrative of theater. I just think it's the best. I mean, it's just so like, it's, you suspend your disbelief, you're swept away. And it's almost like the church of great storytelling, right? And when I hear an orchestra warming up right now, I get chills. I immediately get chills if I'm anywhere near the orchestra. It makes me crazy. So that really was the seed that was planted. But of course, I also had I was a very curious girl and not very typical. And I was curious and I was loving science and marine biology. And I created a lab with my best friend, Ford Desmond Johnson. His father brought a Bunsen burner into the basement of the house, of their house. They had multiple basements in this old house on the hill. And we would do experiments and Bunsen burners, and we took notes. I mean, I was very scientific and curious. So I thought I was going to go into biology and marine biology specifically. And it turns out when I got into college, I was really lousy at math. I mean, I just couldn't do it. I asked, literally didn't quite get a flunk. I dropped the class right before I was going to get a D. So I was going to UC Santa Barbara and I switched courses, and I was already in love with history, and I took theater. And I just decided to go where my passion was and my love was. And the thing about the theater is you do everything. It is, if you're a curious person about anything, it is the ultimate Renaissance experience. It's historical, it's Renaissance, it's construction and painting and design, it's acting, it's directing, it's learning the difference between series and parallel electrical circuitry. I mean, it's just everything. And it's also responsibility, autonomy, and showing up on time and delivering when you say you're going to deliver. And all those things just knocked me out. I just fell deeply in love. And they actually wanted me to be an actor there. That's what I was they really were pushing me into the actor part of everything. But I started getting panic attacks on stage. So I switched to design because it was just too scary. So ultimately I ended up getting into design and directing for the theater so I could bring both design love and the acting love through directing into play.
It's so interesting because I read something recently by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he compared science and art and creativity. And what he said was that science is about discovering the laws that currently exist, but creativity is about bringing something new into the world that doesn't already exist. So it's interesting that you had that journey that first you were trying to discover the natural laws of what currently exists, but then you realize actually what drives you more is to bring something new into the world.
Community is really, it is like church. The original, very, very old, ancient theater was in the sections of church. It's community, and you come together and you immerse yourself. And, some of my favorite stories are the old Greek comedies, and I love the Oresteia, and it is just that storytelling. You get down to the very primal stories of who we are as human beings and how we connect to each other. And so the theater always was this place of magic for me. Unfortunately, I liked to make money.
Yeah.
I graduated after 5 years, and I said to my parents, I said, "Why did you let me study the theater? No, I don't want to be poor."
So is that what drove you from theater along your journey to where you are now?
Yeah. It is. I had my master's card. I got accepted to the master's program at NYU, and I looked at my then husband and I said, "Do you want to live in a cold water flat and work in off Broadway?" And he said, "Yeah." I go, "Because I don't." So we came to Los Angeles, and I became a lighting and sound technician consultant for this Bonaventure Hotel, which you now see. It was like not even open then. It was so funny. So then I took my lighting and my scenic and my knowledge of sound into that. But in short order, I got a job as a page at NBC.
Oh, wow.
And I got it because the guy that he was a VP of the department, his best friend taught me directing at my school. So I got an interview with him. And ultimately, I became a page at NBC. So I started off as a Kenneth.
and then how did you get from there, right? Theater to scenic theater design, page. Then how did you get to where you are now?
Well, I thought I was going to be an art director when I came to town, right? But when I got when I started working at NBC, it became, I'm very chatty. You haven't had to ask me too many questions yet. And I got to know a lot of people, and I took internships, and I was given an internship in talent relations and creative services. And that's where I started editing, and I started putting little 2-minute featurettes together featuring talent that would appear on the different talk shows, The Tonight Show. Mike Douglas wasn't around anymore, but there were all the different talk shows. And I would put these elements together, and then I would help produce these what they call promotion festivals. Like we'd take all the rooms in the Plaza Suite, all the Plaza Suites on the 8th floor, and we'd bring in 9 crews in 9 suites, and we would feed them talent, local entertainment talent. Like in Los Angeles, it was Gary Franklin, and they'd interview all the talent. And we do that for 3 days in a row. And that's how we would promote shows for the fall when shows launched on one of the 3 networks, NBC. You only had 3 networks then.
Yes.
So I got into that, and slowly I moved into promotion. And I became known for doing presentations, pitching new shows, and on-air promotion, pitching new shows. And that was sort of how I just sort of migrated. So I did CBS, ABC, NBC. I helped launch the WB television network, everything from the Animaniacs to Designing Women, did the on-air promotion, promoting those shows inside of the network's systems.
And then you went out on your own and launched your own business?
Yeah, I did. This is like, this is the classic glass ceiling moment. It was very hard as a woman to get promoted in these environments. And I'm kind of stubborn that way. So at one particular, I had gone to all the networks. I'd helped launch a few things. I had my own company. And then I went into one of the companies. ABC has a local station, KBC, and I was working there. And the directorship of the department came up, and I thought, oh, great. And so I applied, but all the other people in my department applied too. I was the only female there, and it was one of those classic experiences where the president of ABC, we were at a party, he called me over, the president of KABC. He had been the president of ABC at the time, but now he was back as general manager of KABC TV. He said to me, Em, I know you're a rock star. I would love to give you this job, but I can't, because Ricky has he has kids, and he has a family. So I have to give him the job.
That's awful.
That happened quite a bit. I mean, that was,
Yes.
Those things happen.
I had similar experiences as a lawyer growing up as a young woman lawyer. I had people asking me when they were going to make me an offer on my salary, asking me if I was married, because they would offer me less money if I was married. If I had kids, it somehow impacted the value that I brought to the company.
Yeah, that's horrible. And that's what sealed the deal for me. That's when I went and really committed to having my own company. And eventually I took on a partner, and we had a great little crew. As a matter of fact, the person that's recording this podcast is one of those people that came into my life. And we did advertising promotion, and it was an interesting, there were 2 other companies out of maybe 15 that had women as a founder or co-founder. And it was always very interesting and challenging to get into the system and to play the game. I actually took on a male partner because I felt like I needed to balance that out for, obvious reasons at the time. Don't feel that way anymore, though.
Right.
I'm
thrilled we don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, I know.
So eventually, fast forward, you launched At the Story Studio. Tell me about At the Story Studio.
Well, I knew that in my production company life, I could not work 80 hours a week for the rest of my life. And that even so, retirement was never going to equal savings, because in the entertainment industry, you just, either you get residuals or you're for hire. And I was a for hire. Advertising promotion wasn't residual land. So I went to study business, and I studied business in the Silicon Valley. I went back there, and it's equivalent to an MBA. And if you're anybody listening to this wants to look up the AJI network, AJI network, that is where I learned and studied business for 4 years. And it was mind-boggling. It was life-changing. It really is an ontological design, which, of course, where you look at how people move in business. What are the permanent domains of concerns for people in business? How do they move? How do you structure offers around that? And story is critical to that. Story and the authentic story that you offer is really the lightning. It's the lightning moment where you can connect with someone and offer value. And that's where at 4 years of study is a long time while you're running a business and doing your other stuff. I mean, I spent way too much time on the couch answering questions. But by the group that I took, it was a private group. They studied with Fernando Flores, who is a genius himself in business as a consultant to businesses all over the continent, all over the world, actually. In the top 1, 2, or 3 businesses, he was consulting for one of them. And he's the one that created this ontology for how we are as people in business. And so one of his students started his own offer, and that's where I studied. And it's, it just rewired my brain completely. And it allowed me to really take my curiosity and my love of learning, my Renaissance inclination from being a theater person, wanting to understand and to know and to see all the different landscapes that we live inside of. And then how does that personally matter to the individual in the marketplace in that role, trying to make their way in business? So I launched the Story Studio, which is more about helping people, assess their authentic offer, their authentic value systems, and then to develop a story that is authentic to them that they can stage, no staging word, in the marketplace, right? So how do you stage it in a consistent way in every single aspect of what you do, from how you speak or how you onboard your employees, to how you invoice people, to how you show up in the digital domain. Any which way, there is a consistent experience that you can produce, a promise that you make and keep. That's the key. What promise can you make and keep as an experience for everybody in your world? And that's called where I take the strategy and help you stage it.
Yes, you've been guiding us for a long time. So what I'm hearing is I know you, and what I'm hearing in this conversation is incredible curiosity. I know that you are this Renaissance thinker, but at the core of everything is storytelling. Everything you have done, everything you've talked about is about storytelling. Why are you driven to tell stories?
It's transformative. Stories are transformative for the person telling it, for the person who receives it. And whether at the moment there's impact or not, it is the DNA of being human. Story, the living of story, the witnessing of other people's stories, the sharing of our stories. It makes a great song, great moments, great feelings. Story is where you create trust. Story is where people begin to trust you. When you make a promise in the marketplace, if your story is great, and if you can produce transformative connection with people, then you've got loyalty in your brand, you've got loyalty in your relationships. Trust is at the heart of all of this. And I love to be in the game of building trust for people, between people, about people. Trust is really, I think, magical in our world. It's really important.
So in the world that we live in right now, where facts are not facts and we're all losing touch with reality, and I know you're a futurist, what do you think is going to happen to trust? What are we going to do to ensure that we continue to build trust?
Well, I think more in-person encounters. I think, people face to face, people connecting with each other. going back into that style. I mean, of course, the moth and a lot of the little story environments are really kind of interesting. But we are entering the era of creative abundance. And yes, reality is in deep, deep question, right? But when I'm in a room with you, not when I'm on Zoom even with you, but Zoom's not so bad, really. But that connection with somebody and having a relatable, meaningful exchange of information and showing up in your actions over and over again in a consistent way, that builds trust. And trust is the ultimate foundation. The problem with the fakery out there is that trust is being shattered. So I think the people that actually lead, you can only go so far on a fake coin. The coin of the realm, fake can only take you so far, right? Systems break up, systems break out. But when you touch somebody with a story or with a work of art or with an image or a vision, they know it's true for them. And that's the trust. That's the component that you connect. What's true for me? If you touch me with what's true for me, no matter whether it's, an image you made up in AI or one that you shot with your Polaroid at the age of, 10, that will connect to me. That will be meaningful to me. And I think actually creative abundance is where we're headed, and the arts are really profound. And I think speaking truth and speaking your truth and finding people that can connect to that is going to be the thing that saves us ultimately at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, quantum physics shows us there's a lot of systems in place right now that show us that reality is kind of over. There's a lot of reality, especially in media, in the reportage, what they call reporting, is really having a hard time. But we know in our gut when we've had an experience in life, and that experience is experienced by somebody else. You share it with them, and they get it. We just have to keep showing up for each other, and being consistent, and producing trust with our truth. That's really it, I think.
And from working with you, I know at the core of expressing truth and telling your truth is authenticity and being comfortable with being your authentic self. And it takes a tremendous amount of bravery to be authentic, especially when you're scared about what's going on in the world. So when you work with people and they're scared to actually be their authentic selves, how do you teach them? How do you coach them to be brave?
Wow. Well, I can't pretend to actually have that talent, but I will tell you, since I've worked with you, that you feel seen by me, I'm going to guess.
Absolutely.
So when people feel seen by somebody else, that is magic. My seeing you gives you a lot of confidence, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You have written things that I read and I say to you, that's creepy. It's like you were in my brain. And your response to me was, I'm just reflecting back to you what you've said to me.
Right. I mean, being seen. I was working with a client who put together one of the most amazing nonprofits. It's called Tree People, and Andy Lipkiss, and they were going to put a whole new facility together, and they needed an interpretive plan for it. And the guy that was designing it, another client of mine, gifted me to them because he wanted to make sure that they were clear on their brand and their brand story. So I did my typical intake and my whiteboarding, and they did the whiteboarding as well. And anyway, I wrote the thing, and it was time to actually had not met Andy Lipkiss, but the guy that gifted me did a really good job of using my methodology and bringing all the information forward. So I wrote the thing, and then I made some revisions, and then I was in the yurt with the crew, his 4 different division people, and Andy, and we were reading through it, and we took a break, and he was over getting some sushi. It was a lunch break, and I was working on making a few changes, and as far as we gotten into the creative brief, or what I call the character brief. And he was getting a bite of sushi and he said, like, who are you? Who are you? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, I think you've just saved me lots of therapy. I goes, I have felt completely seen. And that's just, and I didn't do all the intake work, right? But the careful listening and documenting, because people don't create businesses or successful businesses, I should say, out of thin air or like trying to be like somebody else. They're creating it from their own being. Business is personal. It's a very personal thing. So if you can reflect back to someone, their unique being and the value systems that drive them, and there you'll find the promise that they can actually keep. They're actually producing an experience in the world. That's where the heart of the business lives in its success, right?
Yes. So the world is a pretty scary place right now, but I know you're an optimist.
Yes.
What do you see moving forward, and how do you think that authenticity and trust will guide us through what we're all going through right now?
It's an interesting time. COVID has broken a lot of things. COVID really broke a lot of developmental things, right? We have 18 to 25-year-old boys that actually, and this is a fact, this is like statistics, and the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, they all just posted about this week, that the 18 to 25-year-old male actually is what delivered Trump this latest election. Okay. That is really more about, they don't know. This is one of my tennis buddies was just talking to me about this, and her boys, they really just are even further behind in their maturation. They don't know where they belong. They feel unseen. They don't feel like they're connected. So I think that because of that lost in space, the fakery and the broken promises are not going to survive. And that the key to that will be, they're going to have to go to the places where they are delivered trust. And it's a very tough time. There's going to be a transaction switch from the transactional worship. Right now, there's a lot of worship of Elon Musk and transactions, and not about necessarily the substance or the delivery, right? There's been a lot of conversations about the bad customer service at Tesla. I've had friends stranded on the freeway where their cars just stopped working, right? This is, there's no trust there. There's just like, a lot of awe over innovation and expertise. So I think as we go into the future with creative abundance, and people can actually exercise their creativity and actually find a place and a voice for it, I think that is actually going to be a key to self-expression and finding themselves sooner than later. So I think that, I feel like the women, I hate to be sexist about this, but women have matured and they survived COVID a little better than the boys, the men, young men. And I think that those two, the reality that they're going to come together, I think that the young men are going to catch up, and they're going to get that they can't destroy the very thing that is going to nurture them. They can't destroy the thing that actually is going to allow them to exist in a secure manner. So we'll see. So that's my feeling about creativity and being a creator. Everybody's going to become a creator, to some degree. And I think that will allow people that feel lost and are seduced by fakery, that'll allow them to find a new way to develop trust and expression in the world. Does that sound corny? I think it does, doesn't it?
Well, no, they get to participate.
Yes.
Right? They get to participate in the world. They get to participate in creating and being involved, because that's what Gen Z and Alpha, that's what they want. They want to participate. They don't want to passively view.
Right. And they're going to be able to, the accelerated ability to produce and create things is astonishing. And it gives you a sense of empowerment. And, how you can add that to a transaction is a different conversation. Monetizing that is a very different conversation, having a secure life. But there's going to be a lot of rich juice of self-purpose, self-fulfilled purpose that's going to come out of this era of creative abundance. And I think the fakery and the lies will only go so far. Yeah, it is a question. I mean, I am an optimist. I just have to be. I just, and I guess I trust that there will be enough other curious people out there to lead the way, to be the pebble in the pond that ripples out. It's like, not everybody is a futurist. Not everybody wants to look ahead. It's scary. But if there's enough of us that look ahead and see the opportunity for self-expression and to building trust and community, well, I think we can make it.
Thanks for listening to Every Deal is a Dance. If you've enjoyed the show, please share with other creative business makers and kindly rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. For more information on how we can help with your own legal needs, check out our services at nolanheiman.com. That's NOLANHEIMANN.com.